we want to get into Jayson Tatum quickly, and maybe we'll weigh in more detail later. But who's your pick? I got Dallas in 6. Who is your pick?
I have Dallas in 6, 5,
Okay.
7.
I thought about 5.
Either way, no matter what I thought or felt, this is real. Legitimately, no matter what I thought or felt, there is nothing in my body that would allow me to pick the Celtics in any capacity.
Well, so this is more of a fan.
Look, I think
you're
Dallas,
rooting for Dallas.
I think Dallas has a better team, but even if I didn't,
as a Laker fan,
it is impossible. But especially since both storied franchises are tied with 17 NBA titles.
Yeah.
So
they get 18.
Yeah,
that's big
not.
Of y'all and look, in fairness, and you'll like this, and I'm sure you probably thought of it. Like the Lakers, if you just go throughout NBA history, or let's just say the last 50 years, now Lakers have been far more dominant, right? Celtics, most of theirs were in the 60s.
Bill Russell.
They won 3 in the 80s, right?
Bill
And
Russell.
then since the 80s, or since Larry Bird left in like the early 90s, their last one was 86.
Mm-hmm.
They've got one.
They have one.
Yeah, so the Lakers obviously have been great, in various decades. So, but let's get to this, because this is what I really want to ask you. Jayson Tatum, the star for the Celtics, they've got, Jaylen Brown as well, but Tatum is viewed as their best player. What do you think is, if anything, is on the line for him personally, beyond, just obviously you want to win a championship?
Well, personally, to take that next step into legitimate superstardom and start entering in the conversation of being the face of the league. I think Jayson Tatum is a tremendous talent. I think, like a lot of tremendous talents this day and age, the consistency of it is important. They've been to the finals and in position with the type of team that compete for finals since he's been in the league.
Right. They actually got to the conference finals the year before he got there.
Right? So he's been a part of great teams, well coached, great front office, willing to do everything they possibly can do to surround him with talent to get over this hump.
Right.
He hasn't been able to do that. I thought their team last year was tremendous in terms of the last 2 years, in terms of having Marcus Smart and both of the Williams brothers, boys, not brothers.
Yep.
I thought they were built for long playoff runs to be dominant offensively and defensively. And then they scrapped it. They were like, hey, this isn't working. Credit to them in the front office. Let's go get Porzingis. Everybody was like, what are you doing? Let's go get Drew Holiday. And it changed the dynamic of the team. And they're a better team now. And so if you can't do it, if you look at his career, because remember, as a rookie and as a second year, they had been, deep runs in the playoffs, and everybody was waiting for him to say, ooh, in 2 years, he's going to take over the league. Well, we're still waiting.
Right.
These are the conversations we were having his rookie season. In 2 years, he's going to take over the league. We're still waiting for him to take over the league.
It's interesting because I agree with a lot of what you said. I think, one, if they don't win this championship, there will be real questions about, can he be the best player on the best team or the best player on a championship team? Like, there really will be the questions, because this is the year. They lost to Golden State, even though he got criticized for that. There's no shame in losing to Steph Curry and the now 4-time champions. If they had lost to Denver this year, it wouldn't have been any shame. It would have been disappointing, but you lose to Jokic, everybody would have been like, hey, you just ran into a juggernaut. Now, Dallas, which didn't even make the playoffs last year, which we get their reasonings, but still, Luka is younger than Jayson Tatum. It seemed that way because Luka's been great for so long, but he's 25, Tatum's 26. OKC is going to be better. Minnesota's going to be better next year. Milwaukee and Philly will be back. Like, this is the year. You had the easiest path in NBA history.
Goodness gracious.
Right? No 50-win teams that they have to play. And even when they played those teams, they didn't have their best players for at least half the series. So it is all set up for you to win. So if you don't, you're going to have to wonder, okay, can Tatum lead us? And two, I don't think they would trade him. But do you look again at, okay, we'll at least listen to what teams are saying for Jaylen Brown or even maybe Tatum. But they may revamp. But I want to say this, Ephraim. I don't think, and you brought up kind of he could become a full-fledged superstar. I feel like, and I want to know if you agree or disagree, I feel like he doesn't get the level of respect that his accolades warrant. 3-time All-NBA, 5 times in the Eastern Conference Finals. People can say, well, he hasn't won yet. He's 26. Jordan, LeBron, Olajuwon, Shaq, they hadn't won at 26 either. So I kind of feel like he doesn't really get the full respect that he deserves. Like, they won 64 games. He's the best player. He doesn't even finish in the top 5 MVPs. He did make first team All-NBA, but I had him in my top 5. I think I had him 4th. But overall, he wasn't in it. So do you agree or you think he gets about the level of credit he should?
Well, I think people are waiting. He's had some bouts on these very good teams, deep playoff runs, where he disappears when you need him.
Right. And he's had some huge games in clutch moments, but he also has had some. It's kind of inconsistent.
People only think about and talk about the ones that you fell in.
Right.
Right. And to be in that upper echelon, we saw Giannis face some of the same scrutiny.
Yep.
But the difference was Giannis was the MVP of the league. Has Jayson Tatum earned enough and done enough to be considered in the MVP race?
You know what's interesting? I actually think that's one of the things at stake for him. If they were to win this championship, I do think next year he would have like a legitimate chance of being MVP. Like, you know, if they win it this year and then next year win 62 games, maybe have the best record, I think there's a good chance he'd win MVP. So I feel you on that. Let me throw another theory at you. I also feel like he doesn't get, and again, I'm not trying to say he doesn't get any respect, but I feel like he doesn't get the coverage or credit that he deserves because he is like a lesser version of some things we've seen before. 6'8", can handle, can shoot at every level. Jordan, Kobe, but they were better. You know what I mean? Like,
well, they were more explosive.
Yeah, exactly. And better versions of him, Tracy McGrady maybe. But if you look at the other top players, I'm not counting LeBron and Steph and KD, that generation. But the young boys now, Luka, he's a threat to average a triple-double every year. Jokic is the first point center. He's the
puzzler. No one can solve it.
Right. And Giannis is a 7-foot
he's a freak.
Super athlete,
He's
right?
a freak.
And Anthony Edwards is a spectacular, explosive player with all these dunks and stuff. So SGA doesn't really get the coverage that Tatum does. And if he's, these next several years when he's great, if he doesn't win it, he'll probably get viewed like Tatum too. But I think because we've seen a Tatum-type player before and actually better versions compared to these other guys I mentioned where they're kind of new, I think that's part of why he doesn't get viewed in that echelon either.
Yeah, I think the player that the entire NBA needs to watch out for is Victor Wembanyama.
Oh, yeah. They got about 2
They have
years left.
1.5 years left before this teenage kid discovers, oh, wow, I can do anything on the basketball court. When he put just think about a full offseason he's about to have in strength, nutrition.
Yep.
I mean, just the fundamentals of being a pro.
Yep.
Think about that combined with his first team all defense.
Well, you know what his numbers were in March.
Yeah.
25, 13.
Brother, all
6
Tatum
assists and 5.5 rejections.
Tatum, Giannis, Luka.
You get it now.
Hey, man, this thing about to be a wrap.
Well, what we're in is that era, like, okay, 70s, you could argue who's the better player, Kareem, Dr. J, Moses, who's the best in the league? Then comes Bird and Magic, and, you know, that's kind of personal preference. Then, of course, Jordan takes over.
Yep.
And he's clearly the best for a decade. And then it was kind of after him, you know, was it Shaq? Was it Duncan? You know, it's kind of who's winning. And I think, and then LeBron kind of took over. Even though he wasn't winning it every year, he was still viewed as the best player.
First of all, you ain't going to disrespect Kobe like that. So I'm just going to throw that out there,
Kobe,
okay? You're just not going to sit up here and disrespect Kobe Bryant. Kobe
when was he the best?
Bean Bryant. God rest his soul. You're not going to do that. You're not just going to skip over. Because we're not doing that, man. We're not playing these games. I don't know what type of shenanigans you and Rob be having up here.
That players will say Kobe was up there.
Brother, if you ask any single person that played against Mike, that played against Kobe, or anybody,
they ain't putting him ahead of Mike. They putting him ahead of LeBron.
Well, that's not even a question.
Right.
Guys will tell you Kobe Bryant was different. Remember, Michael Jordan, his physical gifts were crazy.
Right.
This dude was unreal. We hadn't seen anything like that. Kobe Bryant had none of those things.
Well,
listen what I'm saying. I'm not saying he wasn't athletic.
Okay.
What I'm saying is he didn't have the gifts of a Michael Jordan, right? He didn't have the size, the strength of a LeBron James.
Right.
He wasn't Kareem Abdul, the height of Kareem, the power of Shaq. What he did have was a willingness to work harder than anyone else on the entire planet. So you can take a 6'6" frame and you can turn it into a killing machine because your mentality meets your work ethic. That's what made Kobe great.
I think he was a facsimile of Jordan.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is
lesser,
he was more technically sound than Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was more athletic than anybody he played against.
Yes, but Kobe was.
He was not more athletic than anybody he played against.
Because there were more athletes in Kobe's day.
So what I'm telling you is Kobe in the mix
and Jordan worked too. Remember, Jordan was a shooter before.
That's where Kobe got it from.
Right.
But in an era of the Vince Carters and all of these dynamic and tremendous
Vince was more athletic
athletes. I mean, it was like, and then you got this 6'6" high school kid.
We got a break, or we'll be Kobe versus LeBron.
We could talk about this all night.
We want to get back to the Caitlin Clark thing. Race.